Why is it that in our life we're not able to differentiate between thoughts that will result in pain and suffering and thoughts that, if you follow those thoughts, will lead you to a place where you feel really comfortable with yourself and you feel like you're being taken care of? So there's two directions for thoughts. So the question I would like you to consider throughout our time together, I would like you to consider this. Why is it that you believe your thoughts? How does that happen? That's what I want you to consider. Now, in order to consider that, because that's a big, big topic, why believe your thoughts? We're not taught that in school. Maybe there's some colleges that get to that. Certainly Buddhism. I mean, there's a bunch of traditions that are doing it. But right now in your life, why is it a thought comes into our head? We spin around the thought so it feels like our thought. There's something that happens. It's a thought, and it just comes into our mind, and we own it. This is my thought. Now, that thought, as soon as you own it, it is my thought. It's in my mind. So yes, it is my thought. There's a very important point that happens in this very second when you identify that it's your thought. It's not your partner's thought. It's not your friend's thought. No matter where the thought might have originated in that moment, there's a thought that comes into your mind, and you say, that's my thought. Now, that's the critical moment. You are at the junction point. You are at, it's a fork in the road, so take it. The Yankees were my team, so excuse me. Right at that moment, think about this now. If you could pick something that's painful right now, it'll be a lot easier. You could do it with a pleasurable thought, but if you really want to see what happens in this moment that I'm describing, pick a painful thought. If you can't find one, I'll give you one of mine. I got extra. All right. So pick a thought that you entertain and you get disturbed. I bought a brand new riding motor. Top of the line riding mower. They have a riding mower contest on the island, I found out. I sold my old one because they were going to soup it up, and I think it won the race. But I buy a riding mower that can mulch and put it in baskets so I don't have to rake or anything afterwards. Brand new, second time out. I'm going to go over the leaves that have fallen from the big maples, and I'm going to get it. Now, what I didn't know was leaves hide rocks. This guy didn't think about that ahead of time. Now, not just little rocks. Leaves hide really big rocks. So anyway, a wrench. I back up, drive off. It's still working. Oh, thank God. And then everything went dead. It turns out the rock hit the spindle. Now, those of you who may not be mechanical, the spindle is the thing that's housed inside this so it can spin with the blades. Broke it, shaft. I had the thing a week and I broke it. If you want to know what my thought was that was painful, you can have that one. Because that was a critical point for me that we'll get to. Does everyone have one they can kind of play around in their heads? I feel so abandoned. That's a good one. Oh, if you want a universal one that almost everyone at this point in their life has, and raise your hands if you don't have any of this. There's something wrong with me. Oh, good. We're all in the same club. That's what got triggered when I realized what I did with it. Now, here's what I'm going to share what I did with it because I want you to do it tonight. But you got your point. All right, here it is. Imagine right before you think that thought, everything's okay. The mind is waveless. Then this thought comes in. Add your thought. Now, here's the main point. You then think, I am the thought. You become the something's wrong with me. You become there's no one here for me. You become I can't trust anyone. I have to do it myself. Whatever the painful thought is. Okay, now come back. Just let that go. Do you do that on purpose? Do you like, okay, I'm going to think this thought. I'm going to feel like shit. No one does that. But we do think that thought. But that's not the problem. Thinking the thought isn't the problem. Let's go back. Why do we believe our thoughts? Because at the moment a thought arises, you have a choice. It becomes, I got a thought. Or there's only two possibilities here. Or the thought comes and you become that thought. Your identity gets mixed into the thought. All bets are lost for leading a fulfilling and satisfying life right at that moment. I'm big and powerful and I'll take over and you're never going to stop me. That guy's on his own. It's not connected to a unified field where there is an intelligence that's so great that it allows us to operate as an individual, having a thought, having an action, knowing that I'm having that thought, but not identifying with the thought, not losing yourself and not becoming the thought. Okay. Why do you, how many times have you thought, fill in the blank, everyone? For me, how many times I've had this internal, really core and very hidden for a number of years, self-limiting belief that basically said there was something wrong with me. I mean, it could go so far as I'm an idiot, but there's something wrong with me. Why do I believe that thought? Now, that thought doesn't carry the emotional baggage it used to, but it's still a thought and it still comes up because it's supposed to be there. You're supposed to notice when a thought comes, there's something wrong. Don't you want to know if there's something wrong? We have alarm systems, we've got cameras, we've got, all kinds of communication things. We want to be safe. Okay. So a thought comes in, something's wrong. You got two choices. Do you take the energy from that thought and listen? Let's see what's wrong. Who knows? It could be there's a fire in the basement. Who knows? It could be that the dog just threw up. Who knows? It could be that your friend wants, you don't know, but a thought comes in, something's wrong. Right at that moment, you operate from the unified field and you intuit what that means, and you immediately, with the feeling that something's wrong, comes the knowledge of what's wrong. And you deal with it. However, if you can't do that, if something's wrong with me, that's what it becomes. It's not something's wrong. Oh, I just hit a rock. Of course. Geez, I think this is bad. This is going to be expensive. Gee, in the old days, I would have freaked out because I was so uptight around budget. Okay, yeah, I did it. Boy, I did a job on this, didn't I? It was helped a lot because the guy who came to pick it up to go to fix it, who had just delivered it actually, but it came back again just a short 2 weeks later. That's got to be a record. They didn't say anything. They were very polite. I know the guy, Griff. So anyway, he's putting in and I look at it and he tells me what's wrong with it. And I go, I can't tell you how ashamed I am right now. Right. So he's under the mower and he looks up and he goes, happens all the time. All right. So I had this thought come in for many years of my life, and the something's wrong, I made it. I was wrong. And I ran like hell and I worked as hard as I could and I meditated a lot so I could try to outrun it. You can't outrun it. You just have to not identify with it. Why believe our thoughts? Because how do you know they're not programmed? How do you know it's the truth? Is your mind so clear that you, when the thought comes in, something's wrong with me, you notice what it feels like? It's a gut punch. It literally takes the air out of you. When you really when the shame hits, it's a big one. At least I experience it that way. Can you say, memory, lots of things I've done wrong in my life. This is the big one. This is what I've been, enlightening moments because you're just observing the thought. That's one of the things you can do. Every thought that comes into the mind should pass through a filter of discrimination. That's the discrimination that connects to a unified intelligence that is available to all of us if we know how to do it. So what I'm sharing with you in this session is actually the step where everything unravels for everyone. Anything bad that's happening in the world has happened, will happen, comes from this one place. The contents of the mind come up and you say, I am the contents of the mind. I become the contents of the mind, a bunch of thoughts, emotions, memories, belief structures, manipulation, control. Who knows what's going on there? At the moment that comes into your mind, are you aware enough to go, wow, look at that? Which, by the way, going back to the story, it took me 3 days of not beating myself up. It took me 3 days of breathing into this feeling. It took me 3 days to process the memories that started coming up around it. And in the third day, it just evaporated. I told Rod at that point. She goes, yeah, I know. She said, I wasn't going to say anything because I knew it would have spiraled you into deeper shame. That's what having an aware partner is all about. So, dear yogis, we can be trained. Our minds can be trained to be clear enough to experience all of this world. Two choices. You get to experience your world as the one who's connected to an intelligence that's you call intuition that allows you to just flow with things, and whatever comes your way, you breathe into it. You know there's something about it. And so that's one choice. But the other choice is it goes like this and wham. We're blindsided. We're spinning. The mind is no longer in a clear connection. The mind is no longer in a place where there's a grown-up in the room. There's no grown-up in the room when those things hit us. We're spinning. Okay, so that's an exact point. How many thoughts do you think you have in a day? You can't even count them. I can't. If you had a clicker, you couldn't, your thumb would get worn out in 2 hours. So it's not about changing your thinking. Why believe your thoughts is a critical place in a person's spiritual unfoldment when they have to decide, am I the contents of my mind, or am I that consciousness, that Chaitan, that awareness that's untouched by the contents of my mind. Who am I? That's the critical junction. That point where you choose this, where we choose this, excuse me, where we choose this, in that moment, do you feel good? No. Does it feel like something's missing? Yes. Do you feel responsible? Depends on which way you're going to run away from it. But, dear yogis, what's important to know, and this is the main training that my Guruji gave me. First, Swami Satchidananda, but then he couldn't take me to meditation, so he said, go out and get a meditation teacher. So I went out and I got a meditation teacher, and the two of them taught me this one move. A thought comes into the mind. You can either get spinning in the thought or just notice a thought's in your mind. There's a lot of things you want to know is in your mind. How many times did you have a thought about someone and you picked up the phone or the cell phone or you text and it was right at a moment where that person was thinking of you? How many times has that happened to all of us? What is that? Is that happenstance? The chosen people get that? No. It's at the moment that that thought came into our mind, we knew it was a thought about a friend and we felt to call. We were in the unified field. However, we're not trained for that. And I'm not trained enough yet. I'm still in practice here to be able to get it as often as I want to get it, but I'm really good at getting it. The gut punch did not take me down, not even a little bit. It took 3 days to breathe through it because I've had been pushing that down for 75 years. Well, maybe not the first 5. Nah, maybe the first 3 I didn't have it. But anyway, that feeling was in there for a long time. So when I finally decided to be with the feeling, wow, what a ride. This is what you can be trained to do. This is the promise of Raja Yoga. This is not a new system on the block. This has been around for thousands of years. It's been time tested. It doesn't vary. Depends a lot on the commentator or the person who's sharing their experiences of those sutras that were taught to him by those who were much more skilled than I was, certainly. So, can you catch the moment when the thought comes in and it smacks you in the head? Right at the moment you get smacked in the head, is there enough of you, the knower? Is there enough of you, the aware being? Is there enough of that consciousness that I am to say, not me? I'll deal with the thought. I'll deal with the feeling. I'll deal with whatever, but that's not me. There's a great mantra in India, and literally certain monastic type people go around, and their term is neti neti. Oh, holy man, let me give you some money. Neti neti. Oh, your dhoti looks really wrinkled here. Let me give you an ironed one. Neti neti. Neti neti means not this. It's not this. You're an illusion guy. It's not this. It's not this. Neti neti. So at the moment that that heavy duty thought comes in, are you quiet enough to surf the powerful feelings? Close your eyes. Keep yourself in as an aligned, straight position. So I want you to be alert. Some of you have got comfy chairs. I know what happens next. Now, start to breathe in and out slowly. Dirghaswasam, deep diaphragmatic breathing. So inhale slowly. Those who know Ujjayi or the little tightening of the throat, so you get a little bit of a hissing sound, you can use Ujjayi. But you're going to inhale deeply, pause, and exhale as slowly as possible. In nose, out nose, unless you can't. We're talking about catching a thought that takes us down every time it comes up. It's a thought. It's connected to an emotion, and it has memories like we cannot even fathom. So we're not trying to get rid of it. We're not trying to manipulate people so that they'll help me to not deal with my issues. We're not going to blame anyone for the cause that I'm abandoned and lonely. Your parents didn't abandon you. Give me a break. Get a life. Okay, a little harsh. But at least don't do that. But you got to be aware. So breathe deeply. Start lengthening the exhalations, please. The slower the exhalation, but not in any way forced. This has to be soft. Be very gentle with yourself right now. This is important. And be alert at the same time. The slower the exhalation, and I think everyone here in this session knows this, the more carbon dioxide you're releasing. And if you have houseplants, listen to them say thank you. And then when you inhale, because you've released the carbon dioxide, you are in a receptive state. That's where you inhale. Receive the oxygen. So I want you to not only breathe deeply, exhaling slowly, be aware of it. And think when I'm inhaling, I'm receiving. You are life force, oxygen, prana. And then when you exhale, because we're combustible engines, we burn carbon, we exhale the carbon back into the world. And if there's enough plants around you, they say thank you. The reason that you're doing this slow, deep, diaphragmatic breathing is to get your mind in a state that is called narrowed. It's what it, feel the word narrowed. Narrowed. It's a place of wavelessness in the mind. If your mind is waveless, when a thought that disturbs comes in, and you can, in a moment, just recognize that there's the feeling. It'll be a feeling at that point. And you just recognize the feeling, and it doesn't slap you in the head, and you don't start spinning. That's why you're practicing this technique right now. So really get into the breathing portion of it. And once that becomes really easy, I want you to pause right now. Wherever you are, pause the breathing. It'll go on its own now. Set it free. And I'd like you to notice the condition of your mind. Take a minute. Now be the observer and watch if you start getting a spin in the mind. But I want you to take this time. This is meditation time. You are the conscious being. We all have thoughts. Let's observe them. And now I have a question for you. Is your mind spinning, or are there a few waves, or is it in the road? I want you to really notice your mind now. You have to go to a place to observe that where you're free of the effects of the mind. That's called the observed place. Okay, open your eyes. Come back slowly, but open your eyes, please. This is important because I am sharing with you the exact place where we lose connection. It's called avidya. Not vidya, connection to a knowledgeable place that guides us. It's our spiritual GPS. It's the inner sense inside of us that isn't us, but it coming through us. So that exercise is one of the exercises that you can begin to start and really put attention on. I would do it for 20 minutes. You'll probably either go into meditation. If you're a meditator, you might fall asleep. If you're tired, you might get bored and say, I can't do it. Understandable, don't force anything. However, this is the technique, everyone. So is there any questions about that and the point I'm making about why believe your thoughts at this point? Because there's a couple more things that I'll share with you. But I want to make sure you get a chance to say anything.
One thing I notice when I'm entering the road is there's this like resistance to being there. And it's almost like a wanting to stop meditating or stop focusing on stop being present. And then it sort of snaps into the road. What's that resistance about?
So what I heard you say is that as your mind starts to go into a more waveless place and things slow down for you and you start feeling that comes when the mind isn't spinning, that your training only brings you up to the point where you resist, but you don't distract. So you're aware, I heard you say, I'm aware that I'm resisting. But here's the question, and this is the question for all of us all the time, is who's resisting? It's not you. So then you have to go a little bit deeper in and say, well, why is this mind resisting? Have you trained it that much from the last time I saw you? No, of course not, right? Good point, though. No, it's not that you're resisting. It's that you can only maintain a place of observer of your own mind thinking to a certain degree, and then you begin to get caught in the spin. Obviously, you don't like whatever that is. So good point. Yeah. Obviously, this is a step, though, where you're probably missing the beginning of it, but you're catching it before there's an end.
Mm.
Thank you. Yeah, that's a good one. Would anyone else want to say anything? Please, I invite you. Yeah, Helene.
Okay, I have might be naive, but if you're, your thoughts, if you're not spinning from a reactivity to your thoughts are a tool for understanding. Yeah, I mean, sometimes your thoughts are very useful, we are
Oh man,
thinking
you better.
humans.
Yeah. Oh yeah. 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 Jai.
So, I'm just saying, so you're saying that,
There's two different ways. There's only two. There's not two and a half, or there's not four. There's only two ways you can experience that thought. You can experience a thought from your wise, aware self, or you can experience that thought by getting caught in the rotation of it and you lose perspective in that moment. It's your training that allows you to be to the degree, because you know that the thoughts are important. And thank you for mentioning that. That's essential. Why believe your thoughts? Okay. Because there are some thoughts you should believe. So that's why you believe your thoughts. If I get, and this happens often, and I know it does I know so many of you, and I know it happens for you, where I just feel something, so I act on it. And it always has good results, always. Because if I don't act, I have to feel it. You're all like that. You have that ability. This is the first of a series of steps I will guide you on for those who are interested, because it'll be a continuum now. But I will guide you on a journey that was initiated by Swami Satchidananda, moved through an amazing person, Ron Kurtz, and was really a huge influence, the crazy Swami in the Himalayas. This is a path where I'm sharing step one. There's a lot of other steps. But unless you can create enough distance from the thinking mind to know I have thoughts, oh yeah, I'm going to follow that. Actually, you don't do that. That seems like really schizophrenic. What happens is, you know what to say, you know what not to say. You know when to be present, you know when to withdraw. You know when to support someone when they're suffering and not superimpose your own selfishness onto them and not even care what your friend's feeling because you're too concerned about yourself. So in this work, step one, we have to be able to identify a thought that's going to cause pain and suffering. And it's actually not too hard. It's like someone rings the doorbell and you look through the hole and there's your version of the worst thing you could ever see and you get frightened. You don't open the door and let them in. So there's something called discrimination that comes soon. But for the first step, we have to develop the ability to know that there's only two ways you experience the world around you. Because I'm saying thoughts, that includes emotions. That includes memories. That includes fantasies. That's including what you wish for and don't want. So when I say a thought, it's really, it's got lots more texture and depth and it's really, I mean, it's big. So for us to be connected to a source of intelligence that allows this personality that we call our name, and we know, this is me, but we allow that part of ourselves to be connected to something that allows us to feel our way through life better. When we need to think, the thought will be there. The thought doesn't go in front and we don't spin in our emotions and thoughts. We've learned to act from a connected place. That's the training. That's the first step. It's a tough journey to be able to observe that feeling and see it coming. Most of the times I don't see it coming, but it is possible. Or at least when you get smacked in the head with it, to realize you just got smacked in the head with it. You didn't catch it before it did that, but you caught it. Right? So the more aware we are, the more self-reflective we are, and a discrimination develops. The discrimination to know what's a thought that's going to cause pain and suffering, and what's a thought that's going to lead me in the direction that I'm traveling in this ever-changing reality we call planet Earth. But there's the first step. Imagine the first time you got into some situation where you didn't know what you were doing. Because you weren't trained. I had a 1965 red Mustang 3-speed convertible, my first car. So my dad taught me to drive. I couldn't drive until he gave me permission to drive. So he took me on drive. He's great. What a driver. Instructor. So, but he had me go to this steep hill. But the light was green, and so we just drove up, and I never stopped. My father forgot that we never got that lesson in. So I have my license, I got my car, I'm driving around, and I come to that same steep hill, and it's a red light, and there's a car in front of me, and there's a car behind me, and it's a 3-speed. How do you do that? I popped the clutch a couple times. I missed 3 lights. A lot of people, they didn't give me the finger. It was a part of New Jersey. You don't do that. So I didn't know how to do it. Okay. Learning how to do this step is just like that. You have to be trained in something that requires our mind to be waveless, not stupid, not dead, super alive, super present, super available to adapt, adjust, and accommodate in a 3-dimensional way to whatever comes. No matter what that might be, a broken leg, whatever it might be. And we do that. That's my grandpa guru. That's Swami Shivananda. He had us singing it. Adapt, adjust, accommodate, be good, do good, be kind, and be compassionate. He had a whole bunch of things like that. But boy, it's important. The ability that when you're just about to do to yourself whatever it is, some people frighten themselves. Some people are wishing for something so much that they're not in the present and they don't experience the pain of it. So when you are more present, from my experience and what my teachers said and what these ancient teachings, sutras, came down, and they say it, there's 2 types of thinking. There's thinking where you know your mind is thinking, and there's thinking where you think you are the thinking. There's only 2 ways to experience life. Some people can do the thing where they're spinning in the mind and manipulate people. They can get greedy. They can do things that are not nice. They can have people believe things that they want them to believe so that they benefit. We're not saying that as soon as you start identifying the mind, you go into some cosmic trauma zone. No, you don't know. So you could live your whole life and not know that you're not comfortable in yourself. First step. Thought comes in, you know I have this feeling. Here's that feeling. The rock, it hit. I just broke it. Here it comes. And I caught right before I almost said it, but I caught it this time. I'm stupid. I caught it. I didn't say it. And I took a deep breath and I appreciated my efforts. Whew. This ain't for wimps. All right. let's think of all the different ways that we can get our mind so it's clearer and in a more adaptive, flexible enough, strong enough, in balance enough to handle those big emotions when they hit us. Even if they knock us for a second, but we respond, we need to be aware enough of these feelings. The more aware we are when we're spinning in the mind, the spin slows down. Spinning, more awareness, slower spin. Less awareness, faster spin. So all the techniques that I know most of you are involved in, if you really look at what they're doing, and these are the ones that are really helpful for you, they're helping you to train your mind to be more present to your life, to be more open and available to the invitations. Yogis say, okay, great, sign me up. But boy, I'm going to have to catch it when I don't have enough practice. Maybe I'm on social media too much. Maybe I got too involved with the disaster where that just maybe happened. Whatever it might be, is our mind trained enough? Or are we distracting? That will come up in weeks to come, because that's an important thing to recognize. The first thing we have to do, this is the first and second sutra I'm sharing with you right now. First, we have to know there is this place inside of us where we're comfortable, where we feel fulfilled, where we experience ourselves in community with others and in no reaction. A very responsible, responsiful place to be. The practice it takes is enormous, but it's simple. It's really simple. It's just repetitions. It's one of the easiest systems in the world. It's not like each time you have to go somewhere. No, each time you don't go anywhere. You just do the practice, that's all. It's just practice. Besides, if you're already there and it's what we do to disturb our experience of being in the unified field, right? That's why I want to believe, why believe my thoughts? Because some of my thoughts are connected to a place that I like to listen to, and I share it with people and they benefit. So my answer is because some of them are worth sharing. So I'm going to think of those thoughts. Why believe your thoughts when the thought comes in that tells you or reveals to you a feeling where you collapse, where you don't feel comfortable in yourself anymore? If you don't know you're doing that, hopefully you're going to meet some really good therapists who will help you to get a handle on it and slow things down a bit. For some people, it's meds. I mean, there might be all ways, but eventually you'll get to the place where once you're aware, oh, those thoughts are not me. That's recognizing it. So close your eyes. Deep, slow breaths. To watch your thoughts is very difficult, but let's start with the breathing. So breathe in deeply and exhale slowly. So as you're breathing, you're creating an opportunity to disengage from the part of the mind that limits your vision. You're calming that mind so you can see more clearly. So listen to this chant, because it's designed to just kind of put your attention on it, and it just allows the mind to vibrate at a frequency that in most cases there's an experience that will happen. I am going to lead you in some mantras. All you have to do is let them in. To observe your thoughts is a very advanced technique, never given to initiates. unless they got a really good mind. So you're embarking in this moment, in this meditation. So let's be clear about where we're going. We're going to, as best as we can, slow thinking down enough so I can observe a comfortable place inside myself. That is the focus of this meditation. You're on a yatra, you're on a spiritual quest to sit more comfortably in yourself. So listen to this, and then I'll have some instructions after a few moments of stillness and quiet. Omkaram bindu samyaktam nityam dhyayan yogina karmadam mokshadam chaive omkaraya namo namaha. Om Hrim Namah. 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 Notice, become aware of this stillness. Reflect on your experience in this moment. You are the awareness. What are you aware of? My voice? How your body feels? The state of mind? Waveless? Thoughtful? Be aware. And as we become more aware of who we are by experiencing it directly as often as possible, this state can be how you go through life. Eyes open, arms open, active, dynamic, adding the consciousness that this world needs. So, this place you're now experiencing, if you're comfortable in it, bookmark it and know that you are observing it. Last point. Are you what you're observing? Who are you right now? Who are you? All right, take your time. Begin to breathe deeply. Deep, slow breaths. And slowly translate this experience into your life by taking it slowly in this moment. So as you breathe deeply, feel your body. You might want to move your hands. You can, before you open your eyes, I suggest you rub your hands and get some heat. So you cup the hands over the eyes, let the warmth transition so you can open your eyes when your palms are over your eyes because the light won't shock it. We're going for waveless as you open your eyes. Why believe your thoughts? Because that's how the mind works. It took me a while to not pop the clutch and roll back and nearly hit the car behind me and finally book forward and then stall out and then have to wait for the next light. That's a lot like what it takes to get the mind trained. But it can be done. The purpose of Raja Yoga is allow us to experience who we are as conscious beings while operating a personality and a body and be of service to the world. Because when you're part of that unified field, all you want to do is hug trees and help people. Truly. And build things and meet with good people and hang out. So, who are you? Why believe your thoughts? Because believe the ones you're supposed to, don't believe the ones that aren't going to be good for you. have discrimination, that'll come. If your discrimination is keeping you locked in a codependent relationship, well, maybe you need a mentor to help you just kind of step away a bit and be more gentle with yourself, because you are enough who you are. It's only the mind that tells you you're not enough and you need something else. And that may be true when you're hungry. When you have to find a pillow and a nice, comfortable mattress. Okay. So this path is about, and that's what I'll continue with now, that we all deserve to be comfortable in ourselves and of service to others. And none of us are going to feel fulfilled and complete if it's about me, and we're just taking things for ourselves, or we're damaging other people. But one thing for sure is, as a yogi, what I know, there's darkness and there's light. We're meant to be comfortable in ourselves. We just haven't been trained. This is one training. There's lots out there, but you know that. This is just one training. How to slow your mind down, how to connect to the part of you that's aware, how to take those feelings and emotions and let them keep you open and available to life. That's what we all want. So we start a journey together for those who'd like to. So I'll see you see you in December. I have a new website. So the old one now will direct you right to it. It's just garybello.ca. It's simple. It's not, it's actually just a portal. So you can go to the YouTube channel if you want to go through some of these things that I've done over the years. Might be helpful. You can do some hatha yoga. There's a pranayama tape. There's all kinds of stuff. So it's all free, and enjoy it and share it with others. However, what I would say, if you really want to join in December, let's do two things. Let's spend more time having the experience that we all just had together in that comfortable place. I mean, some of you may be really indulgent and want like maybe twice a day. It's okay. 3 is enough for me, but sometimes not. So that would be the first thing. Second thing is, notice when your mind smacks you. Notice when you're spinning in your mind. Just notice it. I mean, I could say something like, I wish you many, many disturbing thoughts, but I already know you're going to have them, so I don't have to say that. Of course, we're human beings. We all got them. All right. Thank you for coming. It's a real joy to be able to share these moments with you. And we'll be back again in a month. And you stay healthy and keep your awareness on the light. You're all wonderful. I really do love you all. Take care of yourselves. Have a safe journey for the next month. And somehow I think I can do this and say goodbye. Om Shanti.